Have you ever felt that you are putting in all the effort, making the right decisions, yet every single time success remains just one step away from you, as if something keeps pulling you back again and again, but the reason behind it is not clearly visible? Often we end up assuming that it is fate, circumstances, or a lack of ability within ourselves, while the truth goes far deeper than that. This is not laziness, nor is it a question of your capability. In reality, the problem does not exist outside of you. It is hidden within you. Your mind, the very thing created to keep you safe, often begins to perceive the very success you are searching for as a threat. And then quietly, it starts to sabotage your decisions, your habits, and your self-confidence, without you even realizing it. In this video, we will reveal that same invisible mental sabotage that restricts your thinking, stops your steps, and repeatedly brings you back to the very place you are trying to escape from. When your mind sabotages your success is not just a title. It is the truth that will make you uncomfortable, because psychological truths are rarely comfortable. From childhood, people are taught that success is a straight and simple process. Work hard, maintain the right mindset, and keep moving forward. But life repeatedly proves this belief wrong. Many people work with complete honesty, keep learning, improve themselves, and continue trying consistently, yet at some point, they come to a stop. From the outside, everything appears fine, but inside something pulls them back every single time. It is from here that an uncomfortable truth emerges. The biggest obstacle that blocks success is not external, but internal. This truth is not liked by the ego, because if the problem is outside, we can consider ourselves innocent. But if the problem lies within, we are forced to question ourselves, and the mind is afraid of questions. Psychology clearly states that the primary purpose of the human mind is not to make you successful. The true job of the mind is to keep you safe, keep you alive, and protect you from pain. This may sound strange, but this is where the entire story begins. The human mind operates on a survival system that is millions of years old. At that time, success did not mean money, identity, or achievement. It simply meant staying alive. Those who avoided danger moved forward, and those who stood apart were killed. Today the world has changed, but the core logic of the mind is still the same. Today, when you try to do something new, a new career, a new level, or a new identity, the mind does not see it as an opportunity. It experiences it as an uncertain threat. In the face of danger, the mind does not think or analyze. It reacts immediately with fear, hesitation, and self-doubt. This is not your weakness, it is a biological alarm. The problem begins when this same alarm repeatedly stops you from moving forward, even when no real danger actually exists. From the outside, success looks glamorous, but on the inside, it is just as disruptive. Becoming successful means your identity changes, people's expectations change, and the dynamics of your relationships change. The mind sees this as a loss. If for years you have believed that you are average, that you are someone who struggles, or that things never come easily to you, success shatters that entire story. And when that story breaks, the mind begins to panic, because if you are no longer who you used to be, then who are you? This question destabilizes the mind. This is where self-sabotage begins. Most people think of self-sabotage as laziness or a lack of discipline, but psychology does not see it as a weakness. Self-sabotage is actually a protective behavior. When the mind believes that something could cause you emotional pain, it tries to keep you away from it, no matter how essential that thing may be for your growth. This is why people pull back at the last moment, keep postponing things when opportunities arise, or convince themselves that they do not need it at all. This is not a conscious decision, it is an automatic psychological response. The mind does not fear the future, it learns from the past. If at any point trying led to rejection, humiliation, or feeling small, the mind formed an association that moving forward leads to pain. Now, no matter how safe the present circumstances may be, the mind reacts based on old data. This is why people say they know their fear is irrational, yet it does not go away. Because that fear is built not on logic, but on experience. The comfort zone is often misunderstood. It is not the place where a person is happy. It is the place where pain is familiar. For the mind, known pain feels safer than unknown happiness. This is why people stay in toxic jobs, remain trapped in unhealthy relationships, and settle for far less than their true potential, because the mind has been trained to live with that pain. Human beings are social creatures, and our minds are designed for belonging. Social rejection is experienced by the brain in the same way as physical pain, so if success has the potential to separate you from others, the mind resists it. What will people say? Relationships will change. I will be left alone. These fears are not childish, they are biological. This is why many people unconsciously keep themselves away from success. The most dangerous thing about self-sabotage is that it speaks in your own voice. The mind does not directly say, do not move forward. Instead it says, this is not the right time. Let's prepare a little more, or let confidence come first. All of this sounds logical, and this is where people get deceived. The mind does not lie, it tells incomplete truths. The purpose of this first part was not to motivate you, but to help you understand that your mind is not designed to push you forward. It is designed to protect you. The solution has not arrived yet. Healing has not been discussed yet. For now, only this truth has been revealed, how and why the mind stands in the way of your success. Now the question arises, if the mind is stopping us in the name of safety, how does it do so? The answer does not lie in conscious thinking, but in subconscious patterns. These are the patterns that silently control your decisions without your permission. The subconscious mind does not operate through logic, it operates through experience. Everything you have felt in life, everything you have endured, everything you have suffered, the mind has stored it like data. This data does not exist in words, it exists in emotions. That is why whenever you come close to a situation that resembles old pain, the mind reacts immediately, even if the circumstances are completely different. This is the reason many people know what they should do, yet they are unable to do it. They know which decision is right, yet they repeat the same mistake. From the outside, this appears to be confusion, but on the inside, it is pattern repetition. The mind follows the path it already knows, even if that path is causing you harm. In psychology, this is called emotional conditioning. If a person repeatedly felt that trying led to rejection, the mind learned that trying is dangerous. Now, even if today you have resources, skills, and the right opportunities, the mind reacts according to that old lesson. It slowly begins to pull you away from the very situation where you were meant to grow. The most dangerous aspect of these subconscious patterns is that they do not make you feel wrong. On the contrary, they make you feel rational. The mind makes you believe that you are practical, realistic, and mature. But in reality, you are making decisions driven by fear. This is why self-sabotage is so difficult to recognize. One common pattern is, I am not ready yet. This sentence sounds responsible, but many times what lies behind it is not a lack of preparation, but a fear of exposure. Being ready means putting yourself forward, opening yourself to judgment, and accepting uncertainty. The mind wants to avoid this, so it keeps you stuck in the name of preparation. Another deep pattern is perfectionism. From the outside, it looks like high standards, but on the inside, it is failure avoidance. The mind says, if everything is not perfect, do not start at all, because an imperfect beginning can be painful. In this way, perfectionism becomes the enemy of growth, even though it appears to be self-discipline. Another subconscious loop is familiar struggle. Some people live constantly in struggle. When things start to become easier, they create problems for themselves. Because struggle is familiar to them, their identity has been built around it. The mind says, this pain is familiar to me, I can handle it. But peace and stability feel unfamiliar to the mind. This is where identity sabotage begins. If for years your identity has been that of a struggling person, then success destroys that identity. And for the mind, the loss of identity feels like death. That is why, the moment you come close to success, the mind finds some reason or another to pull you back. Subconscious patterns also show up in relationships. Many people are drawn toward those who feel emotionally unavailable. From the outside, it looks like attraction, but on the inside, it is familiarity. If love in childhood was conditional, the mind does not see unconditional love as trustworthy. The same pattern works in success as well. Whatever is difficult feels real. The greatest damage happens when these patterns become your voice. Then it feels like they are your own thoughts. You start saying, "This is just how I am. This always happens to me. Things are always hard for me." These statements are not truths. They are repeated emotional memories that the mind has turned into an identity. The mind wants consistency, not growth. If your old story is one of pain, the mind keeps repeating that pain to maintain consistency. That is why many people are unable to feel happy even after achieving success, because their mind cannot synchronize with the new reality. This is where people make their biggest mistake. They believe the solution is more hard work, more discipline, more motivation. But if the subconscious pattern remains the same, every new effort will end up taking the same old path. That is why real change does not happen at the surface level, it happens at the pattern level. Until you recognize which pattern keeps pulling you back again and again, you will continue blaming yourself. We still have not reached the solution. We still have not talked about breaking the pattern. So far, we have only seen how the subconscious controls you, and why self-sabotage feels logical to you. Now the most important question arises. If all of this is automatic, how do you get out of it? This is where most people go in the wrong direction, because they try to find the solution using the same mind that created the problem. First, it is important to understand one truth. You cannot win by fighting your own mind. The more you force yourself, the more resistance the mind creates. This is because force feels like a threat to the brain. That is why real change does not begin with discipline, but with awareness and safety. Ending self-sabotage does not mean breaking it. It means understanding it. Behind every act of sabotage there is an intention to protect you from emotional pain. As long as you see your mind as an enemy, it will become even more aggressive. But the day you realize that this is an old protection system, its grip begins to loosen. The biggest turning point comes when you ask yourself this question: what pain am I trying to avoid? Because the mind is not running from the future. It is running from an old pain that was once very real. When you recognize that pain, sabotage is no longer blind. It becomes visible. And what becomes visible cannot control you with full force. Here it is important to understand a very deep psychological truth. The mind does not change through logic. It changes through experience. That is why understanding alone is not enough. You have to give your mind new experiences, but in small and safe ways. This is the reason sudden big jumps often fail. The mind perceives them as a threat. Healing does not mean that fear will disappear. Healing means learning to move forward even while fear is present. When you show your mind that I am safe even with fear, the mind slowly begins to lower its alarm level. This process is slow, but it is real and permanent. The way out of identity sabotage is not to forcefully change your identity. You cannot say, "From today I am confident." The mind does not accept this. Real change happens when you stop seeing your old version as wrong and start seeing it as incomplete. When instead of rejecting your struggling version, you acknowledge that it brought you this far, the mind experiences safety for the first time. Many people remain stuck because they hate their old selves. They believe that unless they eliminate their fear, weakness, and past, they cannot move forward. But psychology says this: the part you suppress is the part that controls you, and the part you accept is the part that heals. Success also comes with guilt, something very few people understand. Moving forward often means surpassing some people, changing certain relationships, and leaving some versions of yourself behind. To avoid this guilt, the mind creates sabotage. When you accept that change is not betrayal, the mind experiences relief for the first time. Another important truth is that clarity is more powerful than motivation. When you clearly see which pattern is holding you back, that pattern begins to weaken. This is because the mind's strongest weapon is automaticity. The moment you consciously observe an automatic reaction, it can no longer operate with full force. At this stage, many people become afraid, because distractions stop working here. Motivational videos, quotes, and surface-level productivity lose their effect. Here, a person has to sit with themselves. And this is the most uncomfortable part. That is why most people return to their old patterns from this point. But those who can tolerate this discomfort experience a real shift. They do not suddenly become fearless, but they become honest. They stop hiding their fear. And this honesty sends a signal to the mind that the danger is over. The final and most important truth is this: success is not an external destination. Success is the internal permission you give yourself to change, to move forward, and to handle the pain that comes with growth. The day you give yourself this permission, the mind stops being your enemy and begins to become your ally. When your mind sabotages your success, this is not a story about failure. This is a story about a fear that is trying to protect you, and in doing so is holding you back. And when you understand this fear, you do not become unstoppable.